All right, I'm here with Dave Arbetter from Arbetter Hot Dog, the best chili dog in Miami. A Miami institution. What's up, bud?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man.
Good to see you, man.
It's
Good
funny.
to see
I've
you.
always told people that you are like the American version of Versailles on 8th Street, yet you're in Westchester, the heart of Latin community, and you're the most popular restaurant. It's crazy.
And we're completely, I mean, we're I would say, Westchester is 90% Hispanic.
Right.
10%, I guess white English speaking or whatever, or English speaking. And, it's funny, but Versailles, we're almost like more like Versailles than Versailles, but we don't get that play that Versailles gets as far as the politicians come in there.
Right.
And I think it's because Versailles is, the Hispanic restaurant.
Yeah.
But this is, don't forget here, we probably do get about 80% of our customers are Hispanic.
Yeah.
And they're Hispanics who some of them don't speak any English, some of them have been living here and grew up here. So you get a good mixture of everybody.
So what's the origin story? I've heard so many. Look, I've been coming here since I was a kid. Been here since 1959, and there's just so many stories. How it started, a hot dog stand, or your mom's chili. Like, what is the background of the start of the restaurant?
I'll tell you, my dad's dad, my grandfather, they were from Boston, Massachusetts. There's a place called Saugus. It's like a suburb. It's like Miami is, South Miami is to Miami. It's up in Boston, and it's called Saugus. And my grandfather was a doctor, and he had a little bit of money, enough to take my dad when he was little, like starting at about 4, 5, 6 years old. They had season tickets to the Red Sox, so they would drive in, in the 30s, starting in about 1935 or 36, and they would drive in their old Ford or whatever it was, and they would go to the Red Sox games. But before the game, they would always stop. It became almost like a religion for them. They would stop at this place called Joe and Nemo's. Okay, and there were two cousins, Joe, and then ampersand and Nemo. That's the guy's name. And these guys, they had a hot dog stand, and that place had been there since 1906 in Boston. So it was famous, and it was mobbed. And my dad literally fell in love with hot dogs when he was a little kid. So time comes for my dad, when he's in high school, and my grandfather wanted him to go to college to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And my dad wanted nothing to do with that. All he could dream about was own a hot dog stand. And that's what he ended up doing. He went in Korea War first, then he came down to University of Miami. He actually played on the baseball team as a second baseman. My friend Burger Beast has clippings from it that he actually played.
Very cool.
And then he became a mailman at 67th here, Ludlam mail post. And after that, he quit that job and he just went for it. He and my mom, they opened a place on Flagler really in 1958. And my mom, we lived in Westwood Lake. We bought a house in Westwood Lake in 56 for $12,000.
Crazy.
And my mom she was from Italy. My mom's from Italy. She was a great cook, and she would cook the chili at home. They didn't really have cooking facilities. My dad was a horrible cook, but she would cook the chili, take my brother in tow, who was born in 55. He was only about 3 years old, and get on a city bus. And with the big pot of chili, if you could believe it.
I mean, that would never fly today. Yeah.
Very true story. And she would go all the way to Flagler, which, back then, Westwood Lake to Flagler was a big deal.
That was a hike, yeah.
It was a hike, and most people didn't even live this far west,
Right.
So that's what she did, and they started the restaurant in the most humble, simplest terms you could possibly do. So
and it started here in Westchester, Flagler.
Well, it started Flagler, and then they moved to Westchester in '61.
Yeah.
For a year. They had a place right down the road here, 2 blocks down. It's used to be a Dairy Queen, and my parents had it. I don't know if it was after. I think it was after it was a Dairy Queen. They had it for 1 year. Then they moved for 10 years to 8th Street and 58th, 5840 Southwest 8th Street, right next to a Dairy Queen, ironically. And then they got kicked out of that place because they didn't have a lease. So they were there 10 years. My dad cooked burgers there and hot dogs, and he had a nice little business, but he didn't have a lease. And the guy who took over the Dairy Queen bought the whole property. There was 2 little buildings. One was Dairy Queen and one was Arbetter's, and they were there forever. This guy, Hal Bailey, owned the Dairy Queen, and he owned the property. He got sort of sick. He sold the property to this guy, Ernie, and Ernie just saw my dad's business and was a pretty good business, and he's like, hey, any idiot could run a hot dog stand. My dad found this place, my mom and dad, and opened right here in '71.
I mentioned to you I hadn't been here since 1994, right? So I grew up in the area, went to high school down the street, and then you mentioned a story about your dad in the 30s going to uh, a hot dog stand in Boston, making him feel like home. I hadn't been here since '94. I walk in 2023, and it's just the hospitality. Like I felt like I never left. The dogs are the same, the feel, the vibe. How did you create that?
Well, I was out of town for a few years. I owned the place, but I lived out in Portland, Oregon for a few years. And I let some other people run the place. My sister ran it for a while. And they did a pretty good job. I don't want to beat anybody up, but the love wasn't there. So I really came back about 8 years ago, seven and a half years ago. And I put about $750,000 into the place. I kept it the same.
Yeah.
But I put in a beautiful new counter that was actually modeled after the original counter that had been changed in '77. The original counter here was put in '67. We came in '71 to this spot. We had been in business since '58. I put down '59, but it's really '58. And so I put the original counter back that was here as far the specs for it.
Yeah.
And then we had A-Hole Sniffs Glue paint the top of the counter. He's a local legend, an artist legend. He does a lot of Wynwood stuff. And then Abel Sanchez helped. I had the idea for the counter, and I told Abel I wanted to be have it to be art, an art-friendly counter. I wanted real artwork from a local artist. And he said, "Hey, I got a friend called A-Hole Sniffs Glue. His name is Dave, really, Dave Anagastizia or something. And Dave is a great guy. And Abel hooked us up. You know Abel.
Very cool, of course.
And we put the counter up about 5 years ago. Beautiful, best counter ever. And then I redid every single aspect of the place, but I liken it to like a '62 Impala or a '64 Impala that was beat up, in bad shape, in horrible shape, and then you keep everything the same, but you make it brand new again.
Sure.
And everyone loves that.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened here. And since I got here, we've literally tripled business. So, the place is absolutely insanely spotless now.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fanatic about cleanliness.
It is. It's great.
It's spotless. Everything's new, but it looks like it had always been here because I put the original. Everything I've done is original here.
Yeah, look, running a restaurant's a lot more than just serving a meal, and the details matter. How did you create these raving fans? I know grandfathers who went to my high school, which is right down the street, who bring their grandsons, and it's just like this generational, once a month, twice a month, I go to Arbetter's, and I got my dog that I love.
Right.
How did you create those raving fans?
By the way, that's the Bird Road that I know and love right there. So I hope you leave
really
that
get a
in.
flavor, right.
You got to
All the
leave that in
listeners
because
at
that's
home.
Bird Road. Well, look, my job was the easy job. My job of basically renovating it and bringing the business up was the easy job. The hard job was my mom and dad and my brother, and my sister, who sort of were here over the years, and me. We built this business, and we built it back from '59 on, and we were always, I always tell people, we were always nice. That's what my parents were, just nice people.
Yeah.
Back then, Miami was a much nicer place than it is now.
Yeah, big surprise.
It's a tougher place, but if you know people like we know people, we've had lifelong friends. Okay, if you know people like we know people, Miami's the most friendly town ever.
Right.
It's just if you move here and you're new, maybe it's not the most friendly place you'll ever go.
Right.
But once you really know people and get to know people here, as you know, it's like home when you come back.
You have a big. So you're old school like I am.
Yeah.
My handshake, my word is my bond.
Yeah.
But now the world is digital, and you actually have a pretty big digital following. How important are reviews in the digital space for you guys? Or is it just, look, man, I don't care about that. Word of mouth is what drives me.
Well,
business.
thank you for mentioning that. When I own the place, but I let other people run it.
Yeah.
When I came back, our reviews on Yelp were only 3.5. That's horrible. Our reviews on Google were like 3.75, which is for Google. That's horrible. We are, I'm proud to say this now, out of, I think, 16,000 total restaurants in Dade and Broward, we're top 2% highest rated. We're 4.5 on Yelp. To go from 3.5 to 4.5 is almost impossible.
Really?
Especially when we have like on Yelp right now, I think we have 550 reviews-ish, give or take, or somewhere in there. But we went, we had already had like 175 reviews when I came back. So it's very difficult to start bad and go good on Yelp. But the reviews are so important. I mean, to me, I almost want to see a shrink because they bug me so much when I get a bad review, and I get 99% great reviews. On Google, I think we're 4.8 and a half, almost 4.9, almost as high as you can get. And but still to this day, if I get a bad review, it drives me insane because I'll do almost anything in the world for my customers.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist. You want everything done right and to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
How do you come up with hot dogs? Now, I know Dr. Carter Burrs probably came in for the viewers at home that don't know him. He's a legend in Miami, professor. He's also the biggest 80-year-old man, works out every day, big, strong guy. He probably came in here and twisted your arm. But how do you come up with ideas for new hot dogs?
Well, first of all, we always had the same hot dog. We had this boiled mixture of pork and beef.
Right.
It's what we started with. About 7 years ago, I brought in the soubrette. You've heard of soubrettes, right?
Yeah.
They're a New York dog. They're always voted basically #1 dog in the whole United States, almost every year. We have a soubrette with natural casing. That means it's got a snap to it. Mm-hmm. We added that 7 years ago. We added a grill 7 years ago. But we never changed what brought us here. And that's that boiled dog. So a lot of people love the boiled dog, but on reviews, we noticed that people who loved the boiled loved it.
Right.
But the ones who didn't were like, wait, that's a cheap dog. Why don't they have a grilled dog? Why don't they have an all beef? So actually, I brought in what I think is the best all beef dog in the world. Now, we did a taste test here before I brought this dog in. We had 20 different hot dogs. We had the Hebrew National. I brought in a Nathan's dog. I brought in almost any dog that you could think of that was popular. Yeah. And I did blind taste tests. And of course, what won was the soubrette. So we started serving that soubrette 7 years ago. And we started off, because we sell about 1,200 dogs a day now.
Okay.
So in the beginning, out of 1,200, 1,180 were the boiled. Little by little, now we do about 30% of our dogs are the soubrette dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have an all beef soubrette that's a 4 ounce, a 2 ounce, and one. The 4 ounce doesn't have a natural casing.
Yeah.
The monster, we have a monster dog that's 12 inches and it's 8 ounces. It's insanely huge. It's a great dog. So we've added a bunch of things, and we've added different flavors. Like we have the Hawaiian dog, the Dave Dunn,
which is
named
great.
after the football coach for Columbus who won 2 state titles in the past 3 years. The Carter Burrs is a perfect example. Dr. Burris always, once he got a taste of that all beef dog, he loved it, and he would put coleslaw on top of it and chili. So we named that the Carter Burris dog. I have the Grant Miller. He's a local legend.
Local guy. Yeah.
I don't try to name our dogs after like Pitbull or something.
Of course not.
I try to name them after local legends.
Yeah.
We have the Ted. He's another guy. He's the soubrette. He helped me bring the soubrette in. I actually already had the soubrette, but he helped me bring in the natural casing soubrette. Grant Miller he owns 12 Miami community newspapers. Yeah. We have just named after John Suss. John Suss has been coming here since 1962.
Yeah.
He started when he was 2 years old with his father coming in here.
He's part of the fabric of the place.
Part of the fabric. So, and we have a lot of dogs. Ulysses, Yuli Monster.
Yeah,
he's
the fighter.
A boxer. He's a fighter. We have one named after him. He's a Westchester legend. And we're going to probably name one after the artist A-Hole Sniffs Glue here pretty soon. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so, but what we try to do, like with Dr. Burris, he started to love that dog. And then he changed to keto. So now you have to be 18 years old or at least 18 minimum, but maybe even 21 years to order it. It's the naked Dr. Burris. There's no bun. So you have to show ID. So
I may order one after.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of legends. We're going to talk about Larry Bird in a little bit because there's a Larry Bird spin here at your restaurant that you and I may have some beef with, but we're good. So Arbetters is it's not just part of the community. It's part of your family, right? You have family members. How do you manage the business and then the family dynamic?
I always try to talk family out of working because so often family, and when I was younger, I got nailed into this too. you just start working for your parents' business.
Sure.
And half the time you'll look at the kids, the parents are ecstatic, they're happy, and the kids are miserable because, they got to live up to the father's legend.
Sure.
Or they have to, back when I was growing up, kids were to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be there, and my dad wouldn't shut up back then. He had a great personality, and you would just sit there and be quiet. But, so I always told my children, listen, don't work here. But, my son does now work here, and it's because he really wants to work here, and he loves it, and he's fitting. People love him here. His name is Austin. My sister's kids worked here, Andrew and Casey. They did a great job. They were happy. But ultimately, if you grow up working, like with Andrew and Casey, I told them, look, guys, our place hopefully will always be here, but they had started working there when they were like 10 years old. And that's really all they had ever done. So I told them, get out there and do something else.
Yeah.
And they did, and they're happier. And they may come back one day, but, my kid was out doing other stuff, and then he came back as an adult, so it was a little different, My brother worked here for many years, and there was times he loved it, and there was times he was miserable.
Sure, man.
My sister, I think the same thing,
Yeah.
know. So you got to be careful when kids are working there.
So it's funny because when I talk about like Westchester, or I mention Westchester, one of the first, they say Christopher Columbus High School,
Right.
but they'll say Arbetters. I mean,
Really?
yeah, absolutely.
I
They'll
love
go like, oh
hearing
yeah,
that, man. I love
that's
it.
where that hot dog place Arbetters
Really?
is. Yeah,
I
that
love
place.
it.
And then it's always like, that place has been there forever.
Yeah.
And that's how you and I guys, because I was like, how
Yeah.
long has it been there? And I looked it up and I was like,
Right.
oh, well, we got to chat. But, back to what I was saying. I lived in Chicago many years. I just got back from Chicago. Great city. But one of the heartbreaks for me was it's a city defined by its neighborhoods, right? So
Right.
you go to Lincoln Park, you go to Ukrainian Village, whatever. And in every neighborhood, there's a great community restaurant, I'll call it, right?
Right.
And almost all of them are multi-generational family, and they take an enormous amount of pride. Many are immigrants, and they go, I came here, I opened it up with $50, I grew it, I put the kid through college, and I pass it on to the nephew, and I go back, and a lot of those places are closed. And it was that
It hurts.
COVID wave.
Yeah.
How did you get through COVID?
COVID was very difficult. It really was. It was like
It's a funeral. The restaurants in the neighborhood, I was like, it's a funeral.
We lost a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
We really did. And even our restaurant, we could have very easily gone sideways, but we pivoted immediately. You had to sort of work quickly. We pivoted to just to-go only. We had about 3 months that we could only do to-goes, and our expense ratio compared to total revenue, got really messed up. So we went, from you're supposed to have a cost of goods sold around 25%.
Okay.
And it really went up to like 40, 45, 50%, which is unsustainable.
Yeah.
But we sort of hung in there. And just hung in there as long as we can. We had a little help from the PPP loan.
Sure.
But we used all that like we were supposed to for employees. We never fired one single employee. We never even lowered the hours of one single employee. I'm very proud of that.
You should be.
And to this day, we have a plethora of employees because I think we treated them like true family. That's what they are to us. The employees at Arbetters have always been family. And I mean, John Angelica, I'll give you an example, has been here since 1972. My mom from Italy, then moved down here in like 1936. She was neighbor to John's father in 36, 37, 38, down in a place called Holiday Park in Miami. It's it's Northwest 14th and 7th Avenue. Okay, it's where the Jackson is, and the highway intersects, and you go across that highway, and where the trees are right there, and that's called Holiday Park, and that's where my mom grew up basically. And Johnny's worked here since '72. Her neighbor was Pasco Angelica, John Angelica's father. So we've known the Angelicas since like 1936.
Yeah, you're not laying that guy off.
No
way.
No.
Yeah.
John's
You're right, catch COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's like the hardest worker you've ever met in your life. But he's been here 72. And I tell people, John got a degree from UM. He's a very smart guy. He didn't have to be here the whole time, and he did take about 10 years where he did something else. Yeah. But he's been here essentially for 50-something years.
Yeah, you treated your team great, just like you treat your employees. They rewarded you. They've stuck around. They through the hard time. You got to be good to them in the good times and in the bad times.
Right.
Man. You got to lean on them. So,
Yeah.
family affair, lots of longtime employees, expansion of Arbetters. Where do you see expansion? Would you do it? What's the future of Arbetters?
Well, thank you for asking that. We've had at one time we had 10 Arbetters, believe it
Okay,
or not.
I didn't know that.
We had one in North Miami, one in Hialeah. We had like 4 or 5 up in Brevard County. We had one in Tampa. We had this one. There's still one out of all that. There's still one in Brevard County in Cocoa, run by a good friend of ours named Luigi Fabrizi. He started it with my uncle, and that one actually has a drive-through. So he's the only guy who's really hung in there. It's a very tricky place to run.
Right.
Arbetters, every time we sort of let loose of the reins,
Yeah.
every single time it somehow didn't go well. But you really have to. It could go well.
Right.
You could franchise it. I could really do it because I know exactly what went wrong with every single Arbetters. What basically goes wrong is it's a very small menu here, okay? And we love keeping it small. I could have added burgers. I was going to add Royal Castle style burgers here.
Yeah.
I put a grill in, but I decided against it because I don't want people walking in and smelling hamburgers and want to order hamburger.
Right.
We're a hot dog place. I'll add any hot dog in the world, but I will not add anything else. We've added, some onion rings and some tater tots and different things that weren't on the menu. Our menu's really expanded, but only to hot dogs, basically,
Right.
and things affiliated with hot dogs. Like, okay, we have bottled drinks now. We have 47 bottled drinks. We never had that in the 70s.
Yeah.
But we do. But that's, again, not anything that's going to slow us down or hurt us.
Yeah.
But the problem is, with the small menu, when you sell these places, you have to keep your quality super high.
Right.
Because we're selling hot dogs, and people think, well, hot dogs, what does that have to do with quality? Believe it or not, trust me.
For sure.
There's quality dogs, and there's not. There's quality fries, and there's not.
Yeah.
There's quality oil, and there's not. And then you have to have the highest quality and what people expect. Now, our chili is homemade every single day. Our hot relish is homemade every single day. So you have to keep all that quality and the way we do it the same. So what people do when they buy this place is immediately they want margin. Oh, I got to make more money.
Right.
So the first thing they do is they lower the quality of the fry.
Really?
Yeah, our
Okay.
fry, I tell everyone what fry we use. It's the best fry in the world. No one in their
They're
right
great.
mind
I
would
just had 'em.
spend what I spend on fries. Okay? By the way, it's better than a hand-cut fry. It's the best fry really in the world, I think.
Yeah.
And so the first thing they do is lower quality. People won't notice. And in the beginning, people don't say anything. Customers have a habit of not saying anything
Right.
unless it finally just gets to them, or they'll stop coming. They just get sort of depressed.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a restaurant before, Dan, where you were going there for years and all of a sudden they lower the quality?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah, and
just-
you know it right away.
You know it right away,
Yeah,
right?
man. So the quality, consistency, you could put together the playbooks, you could scale it. But the one thing with this place is there's a culture to it of the way that you treat people,
Right.
customers, and that's the stuff that's going to be tough.
Well,
to do. 'Cause
here's-
you're hardcore. Old school employees, if you
yeah.
told them right now, guys, we're going to cut back on the quality just to make an extra couple points on margin, they'd be like, "What the f are you doing? I'm out of here."
They know I would never say that. I'm so fanatical
Right.
about That's why once in a blue moon, out of 10,000 reviews, you might get one that says, "Oh, they changed the quality," and it brings me to tears, literally.
Yeah, right.
That's how much I care. But besides that, it's 100% not true. I would never ever change quality on anything here. Now during COVID, as you know, supply chain issues.
Right, I get it.
I couldn't help a few things, but that wasn't me at all. That's just because I couldn't get maybe our fries for a week, or I couldn't get our dogs. But I would never change. But back to, when someone buys these places, the next thing they do is they'll change the quality of the dog, and then they'll raise the prices, and which we've had to a little, but not, they'll do it without any impetus like inflation. And then they'll stop paying our guys. We pay our guys incredibly well.
Yeah.
For a fast
Sure,
food
of course,
restaurant.
of course.
And they'll stop paying them, and then they start treating them like crap.
Yeah.
And then they start cutting down the staff, and then instead of treating people like family who work here, and then that relates to the customers. They get pissed off.
They get pissed off, man.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Buena Vista Creative, Miami's premier digital marketing agency. Visit buenavistacreative.com for more info on how Buena Vista can help your business increase revenue and create the brand and digital presence it deserves. Video and podcast production, web and app development, search engine and social media marketing, logo creation, outdoor, print, swag, and more. Visit buenavistacreative.com to learn more.
All right, how many hot dogs do you eat a week?
Believe it or not, I'm keto. Okay.
Okay.
But
so you don't eat the Dr.
Well, I don't.
Burris,
Yeah,
the dog?
I don't eat the bun. I have a naked Dr. Burris probably once a week,
Once
just
a week.
because, look, they're hot dogs. I love them.
Yeah.
My dad used to eat 4 or 5 a day. You know what I mean? But I still, I still try to maintain, what's called a healthy diet.
Yeah.
But I only eat the all beef dog.
Yeah.
And I'll probably eat it twice a week.
Twice a week.
I come here for dinner twice a week.
How do you decide on new hot dogs? So you want to roll out a new hot dog, like you do it, or is there a tasting between the staff?
Well, I had a guy. Okay, for instance, we didn't have the Chicago dog.
Right.
The Chicago dog is a world famous dog that originated in Chicago. Our Chicago dog is 100% exactly like a real Chicago dog, except we use the Sabret all beef natural casing grilled instead of the Vienna.
The Vienna, right?
Okay, so some people say, well, it's not a Chicago then.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true, because a lot of places in Chicago don't use a Vienna. A lot of people relate a Vienna dog to the Chicago, and it's true. But we use all the Vienna topping. Excuse me. We use the Vienna sport pepper, the Vienna neon green relish, and the Vienna pickle.
Right.
From Chicago, we have them flown in.
Wow.
100%. We just believe in the Sabret dog wholeheartedly.
That's your thing.
That's
Yeah,
our thing. Besides our original dog. So besides that, but really that was just something that I knew that Chicago dog would be a great seller, and it is. Then a guy came in from New York, and he's like, "Look, man, I love your dogs. We had already had the Sabret dogs. Why don't you have a New York dog with the New York?" They put these grilled, they're cooked onions in tomato and red sauce.
Right.
And they're made by Sabret. We bring those in, and then we put sauerkraut on that, and that's our New York dog with mustard. And then we have a Miami dog that we just invented. The Miami dog has fresh chopped tomatoes, mayonnaise, which the Hispanics here love mayonnaise.
Right.
Mayonnaise. It has mustard on it. It has fresh chopped onions on there, and it's got. What else is it? Oh, it has the crunchies, the
little fries.
Yeah, those little potato fries, which they love here. So the Miami dog's a super popular dog. And then, another dog I love pineapple on a dog personally.
Yeah.
Some people hate it.
What about pineapple on a pizza?
But
I did too.
I just had it the other day. I had the keto pizza, which is the what's it called, with the cauliflower crust.
Yeah.
But it still raised my blood sugar, but we won't go there. Okay, but so we have this Dave Dunn dog, which has bacon, fresh bacon, incredible bacon, with onions, and it's got pineapples, and it's got barbecue sauce, and it's just a beautiful dog on the Sabret dog. So, but so we just you come up with ideas and you go with it.
I love hot dog culture because it's like you got the New York, you got Chicago, Cincinnati's got also the chili.
Yeah, right.
What other city do you think has this unique hot dog culture that someone may not be trying?
I'm glad you brought up Cincinnati, because Cincinnati is a big hot dog town.
Right.
Detroit's a big hot dog town. Boston's a big hot dog town, and obviously New York. And believe it or not, West Virginia is a big hot dog state. North Carolina loves hot dogs.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's certain places. Arizona, they have the Arizona dog, which is a dog wrapped all the way around in bacon with a nacho cheese, with tomatoes, with onions. That's a great dog. And I was talking with a guy today. You're talking about coming up with ideas with hot dogs. And he's from Chile. I don't know how he found this place, but he found it. And I think he lives over in Edgewater, which is over by Midtown.
Yeah.
He lives in a condo over there, and he goes, "I found your place." He goes, "I love it." So he started talking about hot dogs, and I go, "What's the deal with Chile?" He goes, "The third most famous food in Chile. They have it for breakfast. It's called a completo. It's a hot dog they have for breakfast. It's a jumbo all-beef 4-ounce dog on a beautiful bun, and they put lathered with mayo. They put fresh." Like a guacamole, but it's just mashed down aguacate. Yeah. Then they put like a tomato, like a ketchup. Yeah. It's like a tomato sauce, homemade. And then they got one more thing on there. I can't really remember what it was. Maybe it was the onions. But
that's for breakfast?
That's for breakfast. Yeah. And I was thinking, boy, I'd love to have that completo. I don't think a lot of people would know it here,
right?
Because this is predominantly, Venezuelan, Cuban. Yeah. But I think they would like it, because that's a dog. But he said, and I agree, you have to have the key to that dog is having the fresh avocado. And I told him I would never do anything that's not fresh and not the best here.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's crazy. All right, I want to start a restaurant. quick serve Philly cheesesteak, maybe even a croqueta stand.
Right.
Lessons learned, advice you would give me.
This is gonna sound counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because even if we ever sold Arbetters, I wouldn't really want this to get out. But I know someone would always want to buy this place.
Sure, of course.
But
And they probably went to Christopher Columbus High School.
they
Yeah.
would. You're right. And they're probably wealthy. But
Yeah.
here's the deal. I would talk anyone out of it, okay? Because this job, you have to commit almost 100 hours. Now, listen, this place is booming right now.
Right.
And it looks like it is on autopilot. And in essence, it is on autopilot. But I spend 80 hours a week out of love, pure love. So if you're not willing to spend at least 60 hours, and we talked about working out earlier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, you have that guy, David Goggins. You ever
Yeah,
heard
you're
of
right,
him?
of course.
That guy works out like a maniac. And that's how you have to be committed
Yeah.
to a restaurant. You got to commit almost your soul to it.
Yeah.
And, because if I talk to someone and they're unhappy, I don't cry ever. I will break down in tears.
Yeah.
That's how insane I am over this place. I care more about this place pretty much than anything in the world. Because, it gives my family...
It shows. You walk in
Yeah.
here, and in 5 minutes, you know it.
Yeah,
you know the owner cares.
Right.
You
That's
know
all I
it.
do. I only care about this place. So, you better care about it.
Yeah.
Okay? But the thing is, if you buy this place, buy it out of love, and you're gonna do phenomenally well. You will be loved by the community.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the most part.
Yeah, you took care of it. You're
Right.
a caretaker of this
And I will take
treasure.
care of any Westchesterite, whatever you call us, or any Miamian, because I'm a Miami freak. I love Miami. I love Westchester. And so, during Hurricane Andrew, if someone didn't have money, they got free food for, a month or whatever.
That's great.
So we care about our community insanely. So I think that's what you got to do to own a restaurant nowadays. Because of reviews and everything, it takes an emotional toll on you unless you are invested.
It's the one business that every single person, every restaurant owner I've ever asked will immediately try to talk you out of it.
Yeah,
You know, it's not
exactly.
like, I want to start an
Exactly.
insurance business. Well, insurance is a great business.
It's great
no,
business.
That's right. Get the fuck out of it.
Just get out of
Yeah,
here.
get
Man.
it-
You
get
don't
outta
want
here.
anything to do with it.
All right, so the restaurant, I understand, it's booming, it's done well. I'd like to buy you a gift, and that gift is potentially a Jimmy Butler jersey so that I can put it over that Larry Bird jersey that you got in there. What's the story with Larry Bird? Now, for those people at home watching, if you're at our, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're here and you say, I love Larry Bird or I love Bob Cousy, you get a free refill. Is that
Right.
still...
Well, I'll tell you something.
or-
My dad was an insane Bob Cousy fan. Okay? I mean, insane. So he grew up in Boston. He moved here in the 50s, but Cousy started, I think, in the early 50s for Boston. And my dad was already when he was
Bill
a little,
Russell era.
Yeah, Bill Russell. Before that, even before all that, when he used to call him when he was a little kid the Celtics. Just
Yeah.
he pronounced it. He mispronounced it. But that's how little he was when he started loving the Celtics. This is like the 30s, So finally, when Cousy comes, my dad becomes a Bob Cousy fanatic. Our first dog was named Cousy. Okay, this is back in the early 60s. So he started when Larry Bird came around. He just loved the way Larry Bird played.
Yeah.
And the Celtics had a little dry spell there, after Dave Cowens and everything
yeah.
left. So when Larry Bird came, I think in 1980, we flew up to Boston and went to Larry Bird's first home game, me and my dad.
Very cool.
Okay? And then we came back down, and my dad goes, there was no such thing as free refills back then. You had to pay like 50 cents or a full refill or a quarter. And my dad goes, if you say I love Larry Bird, we're going to give you a free refill. He made that sign in 1980. That's up there.
Wow.
It says, free refills if you say I love Larry Bird or Bob Cousy, So now we've added our friends at Tax Pros, but it's Larry Bird, Bob Cousy, Tax Pros. And I had the pleasure of Dan Delmonico. He graduated in 83. He was a champion wrestler at Columbus.
Yep.
He's very wealthy. He owns a yacht basin down here. He yacht repair on the Miami River, and he's best friends with Larry Bird.
What?
Literally
How
best
did that
friends.
happen?
I don't even know.
somehow.
I don't know how it happened, but they're best friends. So he called me one day and he said, "Look, Larry Bird's in town. I'm going to take you on the boat." So I didn't really believe it, and sure enough, that first time, something happened to. I think something happened to Dan's father. He tripped or something, and he got hurt, and so they canceled it out. So I'm thinking, yeah, right, this is never going to happen. Yeah. So about 3 years later, I get a call from Dan. Get ready. You're going to go to the yacht club right now. I mean, go to the my yacht repair place now. He has beautiful yachts, and he owns a beautiful yacht. Get on the boat. They're gonna drive. My captain's gonna drive you and one other person to the Miami Arena, and Larry Bird's there with me. We're at the game, and we're gonna pick Larry Bird up, and we're gonna go out on this yacht. And sure enough, we pull right into Miami Arena, and you know how they have that little
of course. Yeah.
We pull right in there, and I help on to the boat, Larry Bird. I reach out, Mr. Larry Bird. He gets on the boat.
He grabbed you with that crooked finger.
That crooked finger. His finger is
he's got
unbelievable.
that big ball.
It's
Yeah.
literally crooked like 2 inches. So we're on this boat for 6 hours, and Bird is the meanest nice guy you'll ever meet. He doesn't say a word really to anyone.
Right.
And there's only 4 of us on this boat besides the captain. And so it's us and Larry Bird.
Are you wearing a Larry Bird shirt?
No, I'm not wearing a Larry
He's like,
Bird.
this guy's a
I got
psycho.
a picture of it. I was wearing an Arbetter shirt.
Yeah.
I had an Arbetter's hat, like my idiot style. And I was wearing it backwards like a moron. So Larry started drinking. And once he started drinking, he started to loosen up. Okay? And he started telling every story in the book. First of all, he hates Dennis Rodman with a passion. He said Dennis Rodman, to quote unquote, stinks. Like he smelled.
Yeah.
He didn't take showers. That's what he said. He hated Rodman. Loves LeBron. He said LeBron is, probably top 2 or 3 that's ever played the game. Wow. Of course, Jordan, I think he said Jordan's the best that ever played the game. Loves Magic Johnson. Started going on about all these incredible stories. And finally, Dan Delmonico had a great story. He had flown out to Indiana when Larry was the GM. Not even when he was a coach. He was a GM. And he was out there, so he was on the court when they were practicing, right? So the beginning of the practice, they had, I forgot the guy who plays for Indiana, but he plays for San Diego now, and he's an incredible player, an all-star. And he goes, Larry was in a suit and tie, okay? He was a GM. He goes, Larry, I'm so sick of hearing about you, and they say how great you were, but you couldn't cut it in this era. And Larry's like, really? Okay. He goes, throw me the ball. So the guy, I'll think the guy's name in a second. He threw him. I think his name was Larry something too. But he threw him the ball, and Larry goes, look, $10,000. I'm going to start shooting out here at 3-point line, and whoever misses first, whoever has the most shots, wins. Larry's in a full tie, full shoes, full suit. He starts shooting. After I think 15 or 16 in a row, the other player just gave him. He never took a shot, and he gave him the $10,000. Well, he committed to.
That's why he's the legend.
That's why he's the legend. So, Larry Bird, and he's supposedly going to come in here. His agent gave me his agent's number. He gave me his own number to go play golf with him over. I've never done it in Naples because he was living in Naples at the time. But great guy.
You freak out. He walks in right now. You freak out.
I freak out.
Well,
man.
I have
That's
a special guest. No, I'm just
kidding.
kidding.
Oh my God! Are you kidding? I would never stop.
This is not a podcast. This is a Larry Bird reveal party.
You would be in the Arbiters Hall of Fame because Dan Delmonico's in the Arbiter. I promise him, Dan. You come through with Larry. You're in the Hall of Fame at Arbiters, which is who cares?
It's a great Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All right, you threw out the first pitch recently.
Right.
There's a rumor
that
you threw it so hard that Billy the Marlin dropped the ball. Is that true? Please confirm.
Look, you
threw a hard fastball.
I went in there and I didn't take any practice pitches.
It was all over Twitter.
I walk out to the mound with my son and my daughter-in-law. I go right to the top of the mound on the rubber. I back off. It took me 2 seconds to throw it. I throw a strike. Perfect strike. Now, it wasn't really super hard, but I sort of just put it in there perfectly. Yeah. And Billy the Marlin, who's a friend of mine, I know him outside of the uniform, he has this giant glove, and he dropped it. And I was like, Billy, how could you, But it was right in his glove.
But you nailed it. I mean, you see all the goofs of like celebrities who throw, like 50 Cent threw one in the stand.
50 Cent's throw was horrible, but I saw Johnny Manziel's throw.
Yeah.
And he was a baseball player. His
He's
throw
a
was
quarterback,
horrible.
yeah.
Did you see his throw?
No, it was terrible.
Horrible.
Did you warm up before? Don't lie.
I swear to you, I didn't even throw one.
You went in cold and fired it in there.
I did one little pitch. You could see in the video that Grant made, Grant Miller. We threw like one little pitch like from here to there. That's it.
No, you nailed it. All right. You have a special relationship with my old high school, Christopher Columbus High School, right down the street. I told you, before we started taping, is multi-generational, right? You see Grandpa bringing in his grandson, and I used to eat here at lunchtime and stuff like that. Talk to me about your relationship with Christopher Columbus High School.
Well, it sort of begins with Dr. Carter Burris, okay, because Dr. Carter Burris is a very good friend of mine. His name is E. Carter Burris. I always joke his E stands for Everglades because he's got a PhD in the Miami Everglades, basically that area, and also Elliott Island down there. The thing is with Dr. Burris, he's been going there. I think he graduated in 1962, if I'm not mistaken. He was one of the first graduating classes, and we've just been friends with him ever since that time. And but besides that, we've had a special relationship with Columbus because they're so close. And over the years, we've had a lot of Columbus guys work there, like Tom Desiato. Tom Desiato, the real Rudy. He's the real Rudy. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
He worked here for years. He was really good friends with me and my brother. Lou Pagley, dear friends with us to this day. He played for Notre Dame. Mike Whittington, who played for the New York Giants and played for Notre Dame, was a Columbus standout. All these guys over the years just were Columbus people that we used to come to Arbiters all the time, and we became very close with them.
Yeah.
So those relationships, now these guys have had kids and grandkids, and we're friends with their kids and grandkids, you know? So Alonzo Highsmith, he's on Arbiters Hall of Fame. He just spoke at a luncheon for Miami's community newspaper today. And he loves Arbiters, you know? And it's just something like he started coming here in 10th grade, 11th, 12th.
Like me.
And that's how it is. And Dr. Burris has brought, for 35 years, he's brought between 50 and 100 kids every year. That's one of their rewards. It's a reward.
Yeah.
You could look at it like punishment, but it's a reward. They come to Arbiters, and that's a tradition that's going for 35
What's
years.
funny is I always
Brother
thought
Kevin,
I
too.
thought you were a grad of Columbus
Really?
until today.
Well, Dr. Burris says I'm an honorary.
You're an honorary.
Columbus
You're
guy,
a
yeah.
Columbus guy for sure.
I should have gone to Columbus because I was brought up Catholic.
Yeah.
And my parents, I guess they had enough money for me to go there. They weren't rich, but we had enough money that I could have gone. But we went to Southwest. We're really, believe it or not, we're Southwest Eagles.
That's
what
awesome.
we are.
Man.
So.
That's awesome. All right. Before I let you go, we do a thing called rapid fire on the show, and I just ask you fun, goofy questions.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah, it is. It's a sandwich because it's got bread and it's got meat.
Okay.
So I say it's a sandwich, yeah.
Is it okay to put ketchup on a hot dog?
Absolutely. Down in Miami it is. You better be careful, though, if you're in Chicago.
Yeah,
'cause
right.
you might get the heck beat out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Best stadium ballpark for hot dogs?
The best I've had was L.A. Dodgers. The Dodger Dog.
The Dodger Dog, yeah. the
that's the
Dodger
best
Dog.
I've had. And then I'd say the Fenway Frank was second.
The Fenway Frank. I got to try the Fenway Frank.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Dodger Dog
Yeah,
is
Dodger
is-
Dog
is-
was
is
good.
special.
Yeah.
All right. Joey Chestnut or Kobayashi?
Joey Chestnut, but I don't like the way
You don't like the way he eats it.
I don't like the way anyone does we had a hot dog eating contest here in the 70s, and I was going to bring it back, but because of insurance reasons, I didn't. But the way we did the hot dog eating contest is the way they should go back to it. You have chili on it. You eat a hot dog like a normal human being.
But why
you don't
chili?
dip it in water. Well, because chili dog is a lot more calories than a regular dog. It's hard to eat a chili dog.
It is.
The record here is 18. I don't think Joey Chestnut would break 30 on a chili dog. Maybe I'm wrong. But what does he do, 65?
65 and 13
And he dips
minutes.
them in
something like
water?
that. Yeah, I don't like the dipping in the water.
I would say give him an hour, and let's see how many they could eat. But maybe Joey could eat 50 in an hour. But if you gave him 20 minutes, I would say he'd eat about 25 or 35.
On your best day, how many hot dogs did you eat?
I think 5. I can't, I just can't do it. Grant Miller ate a bunch, but Ed Velasco from Southwest High School, he graduated in 1973. He ate 18 dogs. That's our record. He's on the Arbetter Wall of Fame right now.
18 dogs.
Yeah.
All right. Your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant in Miami, I'm guessing?
Yeah, whatever.
Believe it or not, I love La Carreta.
I
know, sounds
literally
great.
your neighbor.
It's literally my, and I love Frankie's Pizza. I'm old school. I really am.
Which is also your neighbor.
Yeah, my neighbor, yeah.
Yeah.
The Pascarellas are real good friends of ours, and I love Frankie's.
I love Frankie's.
I like Miami's Best, too. Miami's
Best
Pizza
is also a
good.
great spot.
But I like
All family joints. I'm seeing a pattern with you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're a big Hurricane football fan. Mario Cristobal wins a national championship. Do you name a hot dog after him?
100% yes. I'll commit to that right now.
Wow, live on the air. What about Alex Mirabal, also a Columbus grad, offensive line coach for the University of Miami?
Big Arbetter guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Cristobal's an Arbetter's guy, too. I would 100% name an Alex Maribal dog. They both get a dog. This is how much I love the Canes. Plus, Alex Maribal's cousin lives in the house I grew up in. They live in the house I grew up in right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, we got connections.
Why aren't you the mayor of Westchester?
Well, you know something? That's a whole nother story. We could go into another podcast. But
All right. There's a big controversy with Arbetters. Dr. Carter Burris did a bench press contest here. As I mentioned earlier in the show, if you don't know him, he's the most jacked 80-year-old guy.
100%.
And people say that the spotter helped him a little too much. Can you confirm or deny that he may have had help with that bench press?
I'm going to make this a two-part question. I'm going to deny that he had help. But I'm going to say this. Dr. Burris, he's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. He's very dry sense of humor. But he had a thing we likened the Burris algorithm. So he made this mathematical formula that basically added on. So he's 80 years old, say, and if you were 20 and you benched 400, he took that 80 minus 20 is 60. He times it by like 10, and he minus this 400 pounds off or whatever it was.
Go.
So you couldn't
to suit
beat
his
him.
bench.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Mathematically, you could not beat Burris. That was impossible. He would have to have benched 800 pounds.
Exactly.
So I don't think he got help, but you couldn't beat him. So he won.
All right. I pulled this right from your website.
Okay.
Just sort of words of wisdom and things that you live by here at the restaurant, which is hard work, be honest, and treat your customers like gold. My friend, I've been eating here since I was a kid. It is 100% true. You live by these words.
Thank you.
As a business owner, as a guy who grew up in Miami, as somebody who loves your food, I am so proud of you. You're important to this community. You're important to Westchester. This place is an institution. It's a fabric of this community. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. Let's go eat some hot dogs, brother.
Let's do it, bro. Thank you so much for having
problem,
me.
man.
Great show, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.